What is it that you've been searching for? What sound have you been chasing? The atmosphere of the unknown, the hair-raising sound of scraping metal, the rasp of the cello's bow or the pluck of a guitar string, the beat of a heart or the thump of the bass. All of these sounds and more are at your fingertips with Subversion, the brand new library from Dark Force Audio. Hey, my name is Steve and welcome back to Command Shift New. I am so excited today to finally be sharing with you a project that I had the pleasure to work on. Subversion, the very first sample library by Dark Force Audio that is available for the Kontakt player. It's downloadable through native access. It's NKI ready, so you can do it in Kontakt player or the full version. It is a fantastic brand new library from a brand new company. I've been working for some time now with Dark Force Audio on this library, helping them to develop the GUI layout, some graphic design of the knobs and controls and buttons, as well as the all-important Kontakt script to make all of that functionality work on the front screen. I had so much fun helping this library come to life, and today I want to share with you some amazing patches, some demo tracks that kind of give you an idea of what it can sound like, and even introduce you to the man behind the vision. Subversion would not exist without Tarek, the brilliant sound designer behind the library and the vision for this project. It's his brainchild and his sort of sound that he's captured, all of his expertise, all of his experience put into this library. Why don't we meet him? Tarek, tell me a bit about yourself. Who are you?
Hey man, well, I'm Tarek and I've been now working sound designer and composer for the last 12 years or so. And before that I did some trance music and love to DJ on clubs and stuff like that.
What sort of projects have you been working on recently?
I work as an assistant to a Swedish film composer. His name is Jon Ekstrand. I've been helping him with his project and his scores. So I've been programming synths, deliver MIDI for session recordings. So it's been a lot of film score lately.
You've done a lot of sound design in the past as well, and as a samplist a lot as well.
Yeah, so I've been working with Epic Score since 2010. My first release with Epic Score was a library called Epic Textures that was filled with sound design and the typical sounds that you will find coming from me. And then I've done also some sample libraries and instruments for other developers as well. It's been a while I've been in this business now.
So you'll hear plenty more from Tarek throughout this video, but for now let's dive in and check out some of these amazing patches. Make sure you stick around to the end to see it in action in a demo track and to hear what else is coming for Dark Force Audio. So to me, Subversion is kind of the collection of the most intriguing and interesting and inspiring sounds that I've heard in a sample library. And they're perfect for so many different occasions. Film score composers, of course, are going to love this, but there are so many more uses for this. Cinematic pop producers, electronic, EDM, techno. There are so many music styles out there that want that kind of atmospheric, cool, warped type of sound design that this library offers. Let's chat about Subversion. Who is Subversion for and what do you see it being used for?
Well, Subversion is, first of all, a really cool cinematic, tension, atmospheric library. And it's basically for everyone who wants to find inspiration. I have a friend who's a techno artist. His name is Nihad Tule. Really, really cool guy. Like, he's been using Subversion for his techno tracks. Like, he used drones and stuff like that. And then he sidechained that with the kicks, and Subversion has really organic sound. So he thinks that works for him, but he finds this atmospheric stuff to fit really good for him. But it's not just for techno artists. It can go for people like me that makes library music for TV and stuff like that. A friend of mine, Tim Stoney, he's a really great composer. He's working on a game now, but he couldn't say what game it was. But I know right now that Subversion is getting used for that, and he was like super hyped and was like, oh, this came in the perfect, timing. So basically for anyone who wants interesting atmospheres,
So let's check out some of these patches. Let's start with Brahms and booms. Nearly every patch has a boom on the lowest key of an 88 keyboard. That way there's always a boom there that you can play with the rest of the patch. It's a very playable library, this one. And if you're searching for Brahms or something else, all of the patches are really clearly laid out and all labeled really clearly so you can get to what you want straight away. The Brahms have this really beautiful deep sound that gets more aggressive as you play with the mod wheel. As you push it further, you get gnarly, gritty sounds, and it's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, these are insanely cool and always sought after for cinematic stuff, for trailers and all that sort of stuff. Some of my favorite sounds are the Atmos and the ambient type sounds. What I love about these sounds is that you so often want something subtle, soft, and just about there. Not quite silence, you do need something there, but you don't really want any kind of like tones or lead lines or harmonies or something getting in the way. You just want sort of a texture or something there. These fill out the sound so well. I love that so many patches as well have this variety of sound, loads of different layers, and you can control all those layers as well. It makes each instrument this playable instrument between lots of different textures that you get when you go up and down the keyboard. Check out Blood and Scars, for example, one of my favorite patches. It has so many textures, you should just honestly hold down a few keys, hold down the sustain pedal, play with the mod wheel and see what sound you can create. Across this library there are so many different sounds recorded to make up what you're hearing. You'll hear things from cellos, from flutes, from guitars, there's percussions, there's scrapes, there's pads, there's even a 60-piece choir. All these get mixed together in Tarek's unique sound design way.
All the sound is inspired by the nature, because I was recording waves. I was recording, when we had thunder here in Sweden, I'm crazy with thunder. So I grab my microphone and place it up and just record thunders and rain, and they are building some houses down the road here. So I was there, and you could hear these metal screeches when the truck was like, all these kind of stuff. And then I was just making some sound design out of that and using them or implementing them in Subversion. It's not just sample stretched or something like that. It's new samples going on everywhere. Sometimes in the top layer, you get just atmospheric stuff like winds and stuff like that are recorded. The further down you go on the keyboard, you start to present other kind of elements that are maybe more mid-rangey. In the lower end, you would get like percussion, drums. Furthest down on the keyboard, you would get this boom that you can perform with. And then use the mod wheel to, present other layers and dynamics.
And if you know exactly what you need, there are a bunch of toolkits that bring all the common sounds together, like all the Brahms, all the booms, all the percussion loops. That way you could be looking for risers and experience all the risers that are on offer. It allows you to get even more out of this library. It's a time saver, a convenience thing that I love. Now, hopefully you're seeing how cool these sounds are, but how easy are they to use? That's the next question. If you want to know how easy Subversion is to use, you should check the start of this video again. I created a short little clip and scored it using just Subversion, and only a few layers at that. Everything plays so easily. You can load up a patch and just try things out. Play with the mod wheel, play with different parameters and see what you can create. You can create these fantastic evolving layers with just a single note, or holding down the sustain pedal and a bunch of notes. That was the whole idea behind the library, that it was a performance patch, something you could play. Nothing feels like a challenge with this library, and that's the key. You may have been listening to the sound examples before and thought, you know what, I could do that. I could grab a sound and I could warp it and twist it and do all that sort of stuff as well. Absolutely, you can, and I encourage you to, and I've definitely looked at how to do that on this channel before. So make sure you subscribe if you want tutorials like that. But you don't have endless amounts of time when you're working on professional projects. Or even if you just want to push stuff out there fast, you want to keep writing, keep producing. Having all this stuff at your fingertips, ready to go, so you don't have to waste any time, you can get everything done quickly, means you can get on to the next project or the next client. It makes you far more efficient, and you sound awesome while you're doing it too. Okay, so looking at the session, I started with a bass pad or texture sound. And this patch, Ionosphere I think it's called, has Brahms and pad-like sounds in it. So it was a perfect combination of something playable that I could just get some ideas down. And it sounded really inspiring, the way that the notes were shaped and the sound was morphing with itself. Riding the mod wheel, of course, I ended up with this sound. A really beautiful texture that gave me the bedrock of what I wanted this vibe to be. And then I found these bell-like textures that were really, really cool to blend in with that too. The winds of change bells are just absolutely fantastic. And this is what's great about the layers, for example, is that the bell sounds themselves, I found were a bit too in the forefront for my liking. So I just dipped them back a little bit for this patch. So much control and flexibility, so you can dial in exactly what you're after. And these tabs give you far more control, so you can flick between them and adjust settings at a much deeper level if you want to as well. So let's have a listen to those two patches together. Honestly, so much vibe and character, and I didn't have to do anything. It just fell out of this instrument in a way. That's what it feels like when using it anyway. It's so inspiring, and you just kind of playing around with stuff to see what happens. After I had those two patches down, I pretty much had most of the vibe down. I just wanted to accent with a few things. In the voiceover, I mentioned cellos, I mentioned guitars, I mentioned scraping metal, heartbeat. Those four things I wanted to highlight with sounds that matched up with that. And that's how I added in these textures, just playing them in. Such gorgeous sounds, and they really added a little bit something special to each moment that I mentioned, supporting the story that the voiceover was sort of creating. Now, the last garnish on top of the sonic dish that we've been creating with this track, and what you create with a lot of tracks, is a little whooshes, risers, booms, that sort of thing that creates a little bit of detail and transition for different sections. This library is fantastic for that, and something that I'm always searching for personally. I'm always looking for new sounds, because the same ones can be reused a lot by a lot of different people. So having something new to play with gives you more things to blend in and morph to your own compositions as well. So to land on the title card, the final sort of announcement of this library, I added in a riser, a whoosh, and a boom to just kind of emphasize landing on the final chord. Really simple, really easy to add in there. I just played through the library, found the one that I wanted, and then I just kind of drew in the MIDI. I found that easier than recording and waiting and holding. I just kind of dropped in the MIDI for as long as I wanted it, and there it was. So all of that comes together to a really fast piece of music that I wrote in, I don't know, about less than 30 minutes, I think. With a little bit of EQing, it was done and ready to throw into this clip at the start. So here it is in its full again, just by itself so you can hear the details. So what is the core idea behind Subversion? What's the vision?
So the vision for Subversion and Dark Force Audio is to deliver libraries that are ready to go right out of the box, have a sound that is already, mixed and prepared for the user, so they can just start to compose with it and don't have to look around for other sounds and spend hours highlighting sounds they want and then start to design their own stuff. I'm not saying that is wrong or anything. I'm just saying this is a library that is made to be ready from the start when you open it in your project. Also, Subversion is a really cool instrument to jam on that you can play. You can hold random keys and then you can perform with a boom. I have a boom on all the multi-patches. You can create a lot of drama using this feature. So it's a really great jam instrument.
So, as I usually do with any kind of library that I test out, I try to create a whole song with it, as much of it as possible from the one library. And Subversion definitely didn't let me down on this case. It is the gift that just kept giving. Check out the first half of this track, where it is entirely just Subversion. The atmosphere and the vibe of it is just something I could not have created with anything else that I have. And it would have taken me hours to do each individual line of sound design myself, but I've just saved myself all this time by using this incredible library. So really cool, but it also plays very nicely with other instruments, other sample libraries, which you're obviously going to want when you are putting together your track. You're not always going to use the one library only. You're going to use different combinations of tracks. So for the second half of the track, I added in some percussion, some brass, some extra synth layers and synth RP layers, and a few extra little booms and whooshes as well. And this is what it sounded like. So if you want to check out that demo track in full, jump into the description below and you can find it on my SoundCloud. But right now I want to ask Tarek, what's next for Dark Force Audio? Speaking of what's next for Dark Force Audio? Because Subversion's just the first library. I'm sure there's more to come.
Yeah, so basically I'm focused on creating sounds that you notice is ready to go out of the box. When you visit Dark Force Audio and want to check out some sounds from us, you will get some really inspiring sounds and, you know, huge atmospheres and dark textures. And I've always been having this dark sound. I mean, I'm really inspired by the dark music and stuff like that. That's really speaks to me. My music can be really dramatic and stuff like that, and I love it. I find it really interesting. It will always be dynamic libraries.
This is an incredible library and I am so glad that I got to be a part of it. If you're interested in the library, the link is below and I highly encourage you to check it out and see if it's right for you. And if you want to collaborate with me on a project or you want to bring me in as a freelance creator as well, you can find out more on my About page. Jump over there and you can email me and we can start chatting. So subscribe on your way out so you don't miss out on future videos and adventures, but otherwise I will catch you in the next one.